What would happen if we woke up the next day and Earth's gravity increased by 10%? Your first thoughts might be nothing much, but in reality, the devastating effects will surprise you. It may seem like an insignificant increase, but the problem is, gravity is a constant that shapes every system and every living creature on this planet. Altering it would cause catastrophic stress across every scale of existence. The consequences would be swift, and there would be no stopping the insane events that would unfold. They would be inevitable. Let's begin. We'll start with the obvious. The immediate change that we would all feel is the increase in our weight and the weight of every object on the planet. Every person, animal, vehicle, building, and bridge would instantly become 10% heavier. That might not sound extreme, but the ramifications would change everything on this planet. A person weighing 150 pounds would now weigh 165. Buildings designed to handle a specific weight load would be subjected to sudden additional pressure, increasing the likelihood of structural failure for every building around the globe. Thousands of bridges would collapse without immediate reinforcement. Skyscrapers would experience significantly more strain on their foundations, causing some to topple, especially older ones where structural lesions already exist. Even sidewalks and streets would suffer due to the added stress from vehicles which are now heavier. The negative effects on our human biology would cause many to suffer immediately. Our muscles and skeletons are finely tuned to Earth's gravity. With every movement requiring more effort, people would tire more quickly. Joints would deteriorate faster, and existing health conditions like arthritis or osteoporosis would worsen, becoming more debilitating and painful for those who suffer with these conditions. The cardiovascular systems of every living creature would be forced to work harder to pump blood throughout the body. It would add strain, which could result in strokes and cardiovascular failure for any with pre-existing conditions. Pregnant women might face complications as developing embryos try to adapt to heavier internal conditions. Over time, we would see an evolutionary shift towards shorter, stockier humans who would be better suited to support the increased gravitational pressure. Hospitalizations would rise, life expectancy would decrease, and daily life would become physically more demanding in ways we could never imagine. Agriculture would enter a crisis almost immediately. The biological structures of plants have evolved to hold themselves upright against a specific gravitational pull. With a 10% increase, many taller crops would suffer structural collapse. Stalks would bend or snap, significantly reducing yields across the planet, resulting in mass starvation. Trees, particularly in tropical or temperate regions, would struggle to hold their own weight, and their ability to transport water upward through capillary action would most likely be impaired. Root systems would also become less efficient at nutrient extraction due to the increased pressure in the soil. Animals raised for food would be heavier, requiring more energy and feed, while their own health would deteriorate in the same way human bodies would. The entire global food supply would see a significant drop in productivity, leading to shortages, price spikes, civil unrest, and mass starvation on an epic scale. Global weather systems would also be impacted dramatically. Gravity helps hold our atmosphere in place, and increasing it would cause the atmosphere to compress, resulting in a thinner upper atmosphere with a much denser lower one. This would lead to stronger storms and significantly more intense wind patterns. There would be a shorter vertical distance for temperature variation, increasing sudden heat waves and cold snaps globally. Denser air would amplify the kinetic energy of storms, making hurricanes and tornadoes even more destructive. Rainfall patterns would shift, potentially drying out some regions and flooding others. With a compressed atmosphere, airplanes would find it harder to generate lift, causing some designs to be obsolete altogether. Aircraft would need longer runways, a lot more fuel, and more powerful engines just to get off the ground. In fact, commercial aviation would become too expensive or dangerous to maintain, severely limiting global travel and supply chains. Every aspect of flight would have to be re-engineered to ensure planes could remain in the air. Space travel would become vastly more difficult. Rockets are engineered with a very fine balance of thrust-to-weight ratio. A 10% increase in gravity would mean a minimum of an additional 10% increase in the amount of energy required to reach orbit. Maybe more. That might not sound like a lot, but in rocketry, where every kilogram matters, this change would make the most, if not all, rocket launch systems and vehicles obsolete. Satellites currently in orbit would find themselves in altered trajectories, making them spiral closer to Earth, with many becoming dysfunctional. Orbits that were once stable would now degrade faster, increasing the risk of collisions and with it, space debris. GPS systems, satellite communication, and Earth observation would be severely impacted, potentially devastating modern navigation, climate monitoring, and military systems. Even the Moon's orbit would be altered. Earth's stronger gravity would tug on it harder, drawing it closer. This would have devastating tidal effects on Earth. Coastal tides would grow more extreme, causing immediate mass flooding in low-lying coastal areas around the globe. It would dramatically change what the continents look like, destroy immense swaths of land and kill millions of people, as the sudden flooding would rampage across coastal areas. Storm surges during hurricanes would become even more intense and dangerous. This could destabilize entire ecosystems, flood major cities, and wipe out thousands of species on our planet. The increased tidal force would also lead to heightened seismic activity. Shifts in ocean mass would place stress on tectonic plates, increasing the frequency and magnitude of earthquakes as well as volcanic eruptions. It may even cause one or more of the estimated 20 supervolcanoes around the globe to erupt, causing its own set of apocalyptic events. The polar ice caps and ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica would be pulled forcefully downward, increasing their internal pressure and accelerating glacial flow toward the oceans. This would hasten ice melt and cause more calving events where massive chunks of ice break off into the ocean. Sea levels would rise even more around the world, adding to mass flooding. In addition, as gravity compresses ocean water even more, it would alter the way water distributes itself around the globe. This would cause higher sea levels in some places and lower ones in others, depending on local gravitational anomalies. Life in the ocean would not be spared. Marine animals that rely on specific buoyancy and swim patterns would find themselves struggling in denser water with a higher oceanic water pressure profile. Migration patterns would shift. Coral reefs, already fragile due to temperature changes and acidification, would collapse under the stress of altered wave patterns and changed ocean dynamics. In short order, the entire marine food chain would be disrupted, greatly impacting another vital global food source. Millions of people would starve in the first few months, with the possibility of 2 to 3 billion being wiped out in the first year alone. High-speed trains and automobiles would require more energy to operate. Roads would wear down faster under heavier vehicles. Electricity demand would surge as people try to compensate for the increased effort in transportation, construction, and daily life. Aging energy grids, already under pressure from overuse, would become unstable, leading to blackouts, failures, and political tension over resources. Even human psychology would suffer as well. The realization that something so fundamental has changed, combined with the increased difficulty of survival, mass global deaths, flooding, and more, would trigger widespread mental health issues. Despair, panic, even fatalism could spread as societies begin to realize that recovery may not even be possible. Religion, politics, and culture would transform rapidly in response to this new reality. A world that more resembles Mad Max would unfold as resources become more scarce and the fight for them intensifies. In the worst-case scenario, a 10% increase in Earth's gravity leads to a slow but unstoppable unraveling of global civilization. Food systems fail under the strain of lower yields and heavier animals. Global travel and trade collapse as aviation and spaceflight become unsustainable. Coastal cities flood, displacing and killing hundreds of millions. Communication infrastructure breaks down as satellites drift and fall, energy systems become overburdened, economies shrink, populations decline, and nations fracture under the stress of relentless crisis. With each new failure, the system becomes more fragile, until collapse is no longer a matter of if, but when. Human civilization is built on the assumption that certain physical constants like gravity do not change. If that assumption were suddenly proven wrong, we would face a future more uncertain and unforgiving than any war, pandemic, or economic collapse we have ever imagined. A 10% increase in Earth's gravity wouldn't just weigh down our bodies, it would crush the delicate balance upon which our entire civilization depends on. I'd like to thank you for joining us in exploring what would happen if the Earth's gravity increased by 10%, and I invite you back for our next episode,